All right. Thank you, Dr. Conteh. Thank you for being here. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I would like to first off apologize for coming here late. We were supposed to be here about an hour earlier, but for some reason we couldn't make it on time. So we are here 1 hour later. Dr. Conteh, something came up while I was just waiting and looking, browsing the social media, Facebook particularly. I saw a post by Madi Jobata about the resignation of the CE National Chair in the person of Dr. Dominic Mendy. So Dominic Mendy resigned from the Citizens Alliance apparently some 10 days ago. But CA, according to Jobata's reporting, CA just came out with the news to the public that Dominic has resigned from the party. We will finally look at that at the tail end of our program. I wanted to say a brief comment about that. It may have to do with Dr. Cisse, the candidate for the presidential candidate for Citizens Alliance, apparent crisscrossing between NPP and Citizens Alliance and visiting the State House and all that stuff. That might be what Dominic was referring to in his resignation as dishonest. So we will take a brief look at that when we wrap up this program at the end of it. But the main thing today, Dr. Conteh, and we're going to be quite brief today, we are behind time. So the main thing is, hopefully we'll wrap this up in about 30 minutes, hopefully. But the main thing I want to talk about is the comparative gas prices, gasoline prices. In the Gambia, as compared to some other countries like US, Senegal, and Ghana. So I put up some numbers. Dr. Conteh, I don't know if you might be able to pull those numbers. I sent you the latest version that I was able to put together. So those numbers will indicate to us how much gasoline at the pump cost in these various countries. We try to look at the Gambia as compared to other countries, particularly US, Senegal, and Ghana. Dr. Conteh, if you have that spreadsheet I sent to you, you can pull it up if you like to. Otherwise, I'll just talk about it in reference. Okay. So it was just a comparative prices of gasoline in these selected countries. So if you, in Gambia and Senegal and Ghana, they measure gasoline in liters, right? That's the metric system, I believe. We in the US still use gallons, right? So that is not the metric system. But, US use these different standards of measurement in different ways. For example, in volume, in measurement of volume, a lot of time we don't use the metric system, but other ways we use the metric system as well. But that's not the point here today. So we will just go to the gasoline prices. Dr. Conteh, if you look at the conversion that I did, a liter of gasoline would convert to almost 4 gallons. So we are talking about, I'm going to use gallons as my baseline, as my system of measurement. But we have to appreciate the fact that 1 liter of gasoline equals 4 gallons of gasoline. All right. And then I'm going to convert all these currencies. Like in the Gambia, a liter of gasoline, which is 4 gallons of gasoline, costs 76 dollars. And in US, no, a liter costs 1.51 dollars. No, sorry, now I'm talking about dollars. Okay, in the Gambia, a liter of gasoline, which is 4 gallons of gasoline, costs $78 and 76 cents. And then in US, 1 gallon of gasoline costs $4.27. This is this spreadsheet was made like 3 days ago, so these numbers may have changed by now. And in Senegal, a gallon of gasoline cost 3,457 CFA francs. And in Ghana, it cost $44, 44.93 cedis. All right. So if you convert these currencies, these are in local currencies, right? So if you convert these things into one baseline, which is going to be in dollars, I'll use dollars as the base currency, right? So in Gambia, a gallon of gasoline is $1.51, and in the US, it's $4.67. In Senegal, it is $5.19. In Ghana, it is $5.55. That is per gallon, right? A gallon of gasoline. Now, if you look at the full tank, Dr. Conteh, if you want to fill your tank at the pump, in these different countries, in Gambia, a full tank will cost you $18. In US, it will cost you $56. In Senegal, it will cost you $62. In Ghana, it will cost you $66. And monthly expenditure on gasoline in these various countries. Gambia, you will need $307 to fuel your tank, to fuel your vehicle for a month. And in monthly in Gambia is 54. US is 168, and Senegal is 186, and Ghana is 199. So those are the amount of dollars you need to fuel your vehicle for a month in these various countries. And what I did, Dr. Conteh, in the next column is that I figured out the average monthly salary in each of these countries, because I wanted to see how much of the average salary in these countries are spent on gasoline. So average salary in the Gambia is $307. In US, is just about $5,000. In Senegal, average salary is $141. And in Ghana, average salary is $108. So if you look at the amount, the share of income that these various countries, citizens of these various countries spend on gas alone out of their salaries, the numbers are quite staggering. In the Gambia, is almost 18% of average Gambia salary goes to buy fuel for the month. And in US, it's only about 4%, 3.6. And in Senegal, it's 132%. And in Ghana, it's 183%, almost 184%. So, Doctor, if you look at all of these numbers, and this will be good news for Barrow government. I know a lot of Gambians are complaining about high gas prices. But if you look at these numbers, Gambia is doing fairly well than many of these countries. Even in the US, we are paying more for gas per gallon than Gambians are. And it's even worse in Ghana and Senegal. Um, but if you look at the average amount of money we spend on gas in the US, the portion of our salary we spend on gas is pretty low in the US. And this is because the average salary in US is much, much bigger than the average salary in these other countries. Of course, there are a number of assumptions, Dr. Conteh, that have been put into these numbers. And those assumptions could definitely affect the accuracy of these numbers, right? First off, we assume that, well, I'll come to that in the next table below, which I tried to talk about the purchasing power parity. And I have to confess, the numbers in that, I'm not going to rely too much on those numbers. They are not very accurate because, honestly, I do not have accurate current data on exchange rate and inflation rates over a period of time for each of these countries. And you need those information to be able to um, reasonably calculate the purchasing power parity. But the assumption is that as exchange rates adjust in a way that the cost of similar goods are the same in all of these countries. Like the disparities in interest rates will adjust in a way that Gambians and U.S. citizens and Gambians and Americans and Senegalese and Ghanaians will pay similar amount of money per gallon of gasoline. But you will clearly see that doesn't seem to be the case here. The numbers are very different. Senegal and Ghana are very similar, and U.S. and Gambia are very similar. I mean, there's still some disparities, partly because of a number of reasons. We don't know. I haven't been able to track very accurately the changes in inflation rate over at least a period of time, 3 months perhaps, and also the changes in exchange rates. But also a factor, Dr. Conteh, I wanted to mention is that many of these countries, particularly the Gambia, there is the government is subsidizing gas prices. So this $78 may not be a true reflection of the market price of gas in the Gambia. It could be much higher than that. Again, these numbers could be a little bit different because of issues like that. But also, Dr. Conteh, and I had yesterday, I think I had it on the brunch, somebody was making an argument or saying that gasoline actually costs like $58 in Senegal. I don't know the accuracy of that information, but it could be that price is obtainable on the black market. So there may be, underground dealers in this product that are selling at different prices, but that is a claim that somebody made that actually you can get gasoline in Senegal for $58 compared to 78 in the Gambia. So there might be a number of things that are at play here. And we have to take note of that as well, right? that is basically what I wanted to say about this. I think relatively Gambians are paying less for gas than other countries like US, Ghana, and Senegal. Um, these numbers are yet to be. Don't run to the bank with these numbers as yet, because, like I said, there are a number of things that could play into this. There are subsidies. We know governments are subsidizing gas. Gambia is allegedly is. I don't know how much subsidy um, they are putting into gas prices, but Gambia is believed to be subsidizing gas very heavily to control the price. Uh, so, so that's what I wanted to say. But on average, all things being the same, like the economists want to say, ceteris paribus, right? Gambians are paying far less on gas than uh, average citizens in other countries. Way, way high in Ghana and Senegal. Dr. Conteh.
Okay, okay, so my take is that that being the case, the government should have been able to do research and crunch these numbers and make a compelling argument about you know about this, because the average person is sitting down saying that from 55 or 58 to 78 dollars is per liter, and then the drivers also are going into increase gas. So, but then, with all due respect, with the numbers and everything, my argument again is that we need public transportation in the country, and maybe even what they used to have in Nigeria, or what they still have in Nigeria and some other African countries, using motorbikes for transportation. I know taxi drivers would not want that because people can hop on it and just go. But then taxi drivers also need to diversify. Because someone told me from Westfield to Banjul is $75. So I'm wondering, anyone who works in Banjul and the government, whatever they pay you in is in for transportation, it will not cover all that. So then the only alternative we have is to have public transit. I was telling a gentleman whose company provides them with transportation. Uh, I asked him, after they get to work, what do they do with the buses that are there? He told me that they don't move until they are off. They are going back home. I said, well, your company can actually diversify or help with transportation, uh, register the vehicle as transport and taxi, and then provide transportation. Because if we look at the effect of people not getting reliable transportation and going to work, so if a person has to be at work at 8 o'clock and then they show up at 10 o'clock, and most of them will give excuse, that they couldn't find a ride to work. So these are things, and then that affects productivity. So we should try to find a way to do that. So I don't think the government is selling, doing very good public relations with respect to the shortage of gas. Sorry, the price of gas. And the taxi drivers are right. If you're going to increase the liter by $20, and you are a taxi driver, putting water in your tank to drive, you're also going to be asking for increase in transportation. But surprisingly, what I have seen here where I live, I hope you've seen the same thing. Uh, I saw gas price going down 30 cents within 10 days. So do we have that opportunity in the Gambia whereby price goes up but price can go down relative to gasoline?
Hopefully, sure. We
Well,
will see.
maybe we can excuse me, maybe we can ask around, because if in the U.S. gas price going down globally, gas price also should go down.
Right.
And I was telling someone, you know, when we talk about inventory valuation,
Mhm.
of course, we know the systems are periodic and perpetual. If we want to know the cost method for a commodity price wise, what I was asking, is that so the International Financial Reporting Standards does not use last in first out inventory valuation, but then I think the oil companies here in the U.S. are using that, because anytime we have disaster for one reason, prices go up. So that being the case, you as a driver, you pay at the pump. So what mechanism should we do as a poor country uh, when in terms of getting people to, back and forth wherever they are going and coming from? So these are things that we need to do. But again, uh, we don't have good road network, and the country is long in length, but wide, it by width it's not. So it's very frustrating getting from point A to point B. So what is the alternative that the government should do to reduce the burden of people trying to find ways to get transported to their local to their locations? In my view, I think you know is that providing allowing people to use motorbikes will reduce the problem. I don't see why we cannot do that. In Nigeria, they have them. But in Ghana too, they do. Uh, and that will put a lot of young people to work. But to ban taxi, to ban motorbikes for taxi, I think the government should revisit that. Because we in business, you want to try to diversify, find evolutionary methods to get to where to do what you really trying to do. But if not, uh, it's going to be difficult, because if you look at when we talk about transportation, we also have to include ferry transportation too. But now you're talking about price, and I just want to stay focused on that.
Right.
But this is if this data, as you said, don't run to the bank with it. Uh, this is what the government should present to the citizens. Uh, Go to forums and argue the point that, hey, look at gas price, average gas price in this, that, and that. And so what is you know we are doing well, because people run every time. When you talk about salaries, they will always say this is how much they pay people in Senegal, but they also don't know the cost of living in Dakar. Very expensive, and we come into that in the country too ourselves, But when it comes to this price on gasoline, as you said, don't run to the bank with it. As we see it, the Gambia is far much better in terms of price per liter of gasoline than any other place. So I just want to stop right there. And
Thank
I,
you, Dr.
I appreciate you providing this important information for viewers to hear. And then the research is critical in any endeavor that you want to do. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Conteh. Thank you very much. Absolutely true. Yes, we said you have to look at these numbers cautiously because of the fact that there are a number of variables that we don't know for sure. Like we don't know how much each of these countries are subsidizing gas prices. We don't exactly know. It is widely believed that Gambia is subsidizing gas, and I want to believe they are. But for how much, I don't know. And I don't know whether Senegal is doing the same or not. And if they are, how much they are subsidizing it, I don't know. I don't know whether Ghana is also doing. And if they are, how much they are subsidizing, I don't know. In the Gambia, the market price for gasoline could be way higher than the $1.51 I mentioned here, which is the current price of gasoline, a gallon of gasoline in the Gambia. So there are a number of variables there that are not 100% pinned down. So because of that, we want to be a little bit cautious. Again, we could not track up to date the changes in inflation and exchange rates in all of these countries. So that also may factor in as well. But like you said, Dr. Conteh, I think the fact that the government needs to consider transportation, improving transportation so people can move about and get to their destinations quickly on time is very important. Currently, like you said, there are a lot of instances where people get late for where they're going, late to get to work, late to get to appointments because of the difficulty of transportation. And KKs, the tricycle, that have been designed to be like vehicles, taxis, have been banned in the country, I understand, some weeks ago. I think that issue should be revisited. I think those vehicles are really smart transportation vehicles. They can really help alleviate a lot of the transportation bottlenecks in our cities. But ultimately, Dr. Conteh, I think the biggest problem Gambia has in the urban areas is the lack of roads. There are simply no roads. And we have too many vehicles, we have not enough roads. So the congestion is really, really frustrating. And I think public transportation could help, but public transportation may also just increase the competition for number of vehicles on the way, on our highways, and also may add to the problem that these public transportations are not very run efficiently. We had the GPTC for a number of years. They have always not been doing very well. But I think the key strategy the government could take, the key step they could take, is to bridge Gambia, Banjul Bara River crossing.
Mm-hmm.
Once that bridge is put in place, North Bank will be open for business, construction, residents. People can live in North Bank, in the whole of Lower Nyomi, Upper Nyomi. But if most people can stay in their homes and travel to Banjul for work on a daily basis, travel to Serekunda for work on a daily basis, and come back to their homes. So it's going to open up Serekunda, Bakau, all our urban areas, Banjul itself, free the spaces so that we can build more roads and improve communication and transportation in this country. As long as North Bank remains locked down from the rest of the country, we're going to have more people packed into Serekunda, Banjul, Bakau, and those places. And the more buildings we put up, the less space we have for public infrastructure, parks, roads, all that stuff. So I think the biggest economic development step the government can take right now is to bridge Banjul Bara and open up the whole of the North Bank for settlement, for commuting. Basically, North Bank will become accessible, and this will relieve the urban Gambia, Serekunda, Bakau, all those areas to a better use of the spaces there. It will decongest our urban centers. I think that's a very important step the government can do, and I would like to see that happen. Dr. Conteh, anything else on this? I have one thing, two more things we want to talk about. We'll look at. It is reported that the UDP leader, Mr. Dabo, is planning to meet with President Barrow. I want to say a few things about that, and then there is a report by Madi Jobate on Facebook that the national chair of the Citizens Alliance, Dominic Mendy, has resigned from the party. I want to briefly talk about that as well. But if you can say a final word on gasoline prices in the Gambia and congestion in our urban centers.
No, I'm fine.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Conteh. Again, it is reported that Mr. Lawyer Usainu Dabo, also called Baba, the Baba will be visiting, is expected to meet with the President Barrow, anytime soon, which is a very welcoming development, I think. I think the opposition has an important role to play in national development and advancing discussion of these national development issues in the country. So the fact that the president and his godfather, the Baba, can actually see eye to eye, I believe is a very important development in politics. However, Dr. Conteh, I wanted to raise this fact that just about a few weeks ago, it is reported that Mama Kande has been denied access to President Barrow for the simple reason that he never, according to Dusano, one of the key presidential advisors to the president, President Barrow, of course, stated that what Mama Kande needs to do first before requesting to meet with the president is to acknowledge President Barrow's win in the last presidential elections. So I don't know why this same issue is not raised in the case of the Baba, Mr. Lawyer Dabo, because as far as I know, Dabo is yet to concede or even acknowledge or accept President Barrow's win in the last presidential elections. So if that is a criteria for meeting the president, I think it should apply to Mr. Dabo also. But the fact that this is not being raised at all may also point to the fact that UDP and NPP continue to court each other, continue their courtship dance to attract or win each other. So it probably be a win for NPP to have Mr. Dabo at the State House meeting with President Barrow. It certainly would indicate that the president is very open-minded and very tolerant and very dedicated to national unity. But I think meeting Conteh also would prove the same point as well. So I don't see why we will, if I may be a little bit blunt here, we will exercise a double standard in this. So I hope when they meet, Dabo publicly concedes and acknowledge President Barrow's win, and then we can move forward and try to give ideas to rebuild this country moving forward. Um, so I do know, Dr. Conteh, that FTJ, Fatimata Tambajan Jallow, the Gambia's very short-lived vice president, first vice president after the um, coalition victory in 2016, has been working on reconciling, bringing Dabo, lawyer Dabo, and President Barrow together. That means the leader of UDP, UDP's Baba, and President Barrow together uh, to reconcile and become friends again. Um, so I don't know if that is at the root of this meeting that that has been talked about. So I'm not sure about that, but I think the fact that Dabo is coming to the State House should not be. We should not put too much into it because, as far as I know, UDP will remain UDP and NPP will remain NPP. Barrow is not going to give his presidency to anybody. So it's not like you wait for me. When I'm ready, you leave, I take over. No, that's not going to happen. That doesn't happen in the presidency, right? So the closest they can get to is to have a photo up and hope that these people will, each of them will focus on the interests of the country. But I don't see a merger between UDP interests and NPP interests beyond what can be probably only called a photo op, So I think that's all we're gonna get out of this. Um, Dr. Conteh, I think that's pretty much all I want to say about that. What do you make of the fact that Dabo um, is to meet President Barrow? Um, Consider the fact that Dabo has not conceded to his loss in the elections, and that reason was given for denying Mama Kande access to the president.
Well, I would say I have no comment on that, but I still do believe that the 2%ers will not derail this meeting, because when it comes to governance, whether you agree or disagree with someone, we should put politics aside, because what's happening in the country in terms of corruption, maybe Mr. Dabo can address that. And we don't need to be fighting each other. At the end of the day, we are all Gambians. So, but I also hope the president would also reconsider meeting with Mama Kande. I prefer inter-party meeting where he can invite all the opposition leaders to come to the State House and talk about uh, the affairs of the country. Um, that's my take. My biggest concern is that the budget for 2022 was passed in 2021 December, and revenues and expenditures were predicted or forecasted, and turn around in January, they decided to increase salaries, and those salary figures were not configured in the expenditure. And I proposed for the government to have a mid-year budget, but no one listened. And my prediction is by October, and they're going to be requesting another supplemental approval. because if you don't have revenue to sustain your expenditure, how do you think you're going to be able to? And we cannot loan ourselves. We cannot continuously take loans in the country. So maybe uh, as time goes on, the president would, and then having this agenda, not the president, but the people who work under him. If you disagree with the president or any policy they have, they say you are against this national development agenda. When we know that this is simple accounting, or one can say economics, you know that if you don't have the revenue to sustain expenditure, you're going to have a deficit. In fact, as a matter of fact, Gambia never realized a fiscal surplus. Gambia always gets a fiscal deficit, and that fiscal deficit excludes even the loan payments and anything in arrears. And then they'll go and borrow double that amount, settle, the loan payments that they have, and then for the year, and then the balance will be a positive. If you hit that with the fiscal deficit, it becomes a zero. So this should be something that the president should understand. But I don't think anyone, including the finance minister, understands that. Sometimes it takes dignity to resign from a job, but uphold ethical principles, true to your profession, because it's not magical that you can increase expenditure without increasing revenue. And when you talk about revenue increases, we're talking about people think that you're going to increase taxes. No, there are so many leakages. No segregation of duties within the GRA. So mark my word, by October, November, they're going to be asking for more supplemental approval because even the salaries of the alcalos were not factored in the budget. And but no one is there to tell the president this is a good idea to increase the salaries. But we first have to see how we can expand our revenue base. Gambians like Gambians like to get paid, but Gambians don't like to pay taxes. Even the allowances they pay employees, they don't take taxes out of them. For one reason, I don't understand why. If you increase somebody's salary even by 5%, they complain. But when they come to the West, they pay taxes. And these are things that we need to address. And also, there should be a policy and educate shopkeepers that no shopkeepers should pay a revenue agent in the evening. In fact, they should not even pay the money. They should go to the bank and make their payments there. But we have those things going on. And I don't want to divert our attention, but since the president is meeting with the UDP leader, which I welcome because this divisive politics in the country, where certain elements, 98% of UDP supporters are good folks, but the 2%, I call them 2%ers, they're the ones who created this animosity to a point where even tribal sentiment, even some of those who condemn this tribal nonsense. I personally, it was melted against me by different tribes just because I share the same tribal affiliation with most of the members of UDP. And this is something. So for some people may say, wait a minute, I can be an open-minded person, you know, in support of coexistence. But if you touch my tribe, I want to go with them. No, I don't believe in that. But that, and then we have to be straightforward. We have to be straightforward. Having all this inferiority complex for what? I don't understand. So I welcome Mr. Dabo, anytime to go there because we all, we all had predicted this since 1996.
Right.
Some of these people who had never said anything and they had not contributed to anything, and most of them came to the U.S. or other countries using Yahya Jammeh's dictatorship thing. And when we were out there contributing to UDP, none of them ever put a penny there. In fact, we couldn't even hear of them. And all of a sudden, they are the warriors. And now they put all of us in this mess. Because there's incompetency in the country. And I will keep on saying it. Increasing the size of the government. Duplication. What is the point for you to have Ministry of Digital Economy? For what? What is the point for you to have a Minister of Civil Service? I don't get it. When we don't have when we don't have the revenue to sustain it. Enlarging the ministries, but you cannot enlarge your revenue. But again, when you criticize, they say you are against development agenda, and I thought we need to have transparency. Anytime they get funding, they said if it is a loan, they will hide behind because the 67 million that they just got from IMF is a loan. The 370 some million from the World Bank is a loan. The Vice President says that we need to be open, transparent. But those within powers are not doing that. So every single day you go to the shop, prices are escalating, and lands are sold, like whatever. Very soon, there won't be any place to farm. So wherever you come from, secure your land. Otherwise, by the time you retire, you won't have anywhere to do any small little thing. That's my piece.
Thank you, Dr. Conteh. Thank you very much. Absolutely true. Yes. We all look forward to Mr. Dabo meeting the president. I think it's an important development. Actually, I think President Barrow made an important outreach around Tabaski to reach out to most of the opposition leaders and extend his greetings and well wishes to them. So that was a very important step. So I hope we see more of that between the political leaders in the country. When I think Conteh should also be allowed to meet with the president and share his views and with him. It will all help in what they often say in the Gambia, consolidating the gains, politics, hopefully. But thank you very much for your views on that, Dr. Conteh. We will, as far as revenue and spending is concerned in the country, I think the new salary increases may actually worsen the economic outlook of the country. I think currently, actually, the new salary scheme has been released around the beginning of this month. And I think, if I recall properly, the recent data on inflation rate is actually ticking up. So I would be expecting more numbers on that. Inflation is likely to go up as more money is being put in the economy in terms of salaries and all that stuff. But that is something we will have to keep our eyes on and see which direction it takes. But for now, Dr. Conteh, and I wanted to say this too. I think GRA hopefully we're gonna keep an eye on this also, whether their goal of more effectively or efficiently mobilizing internal resources to pay for government expenses is something that is going to materialize or not. But that is something we're going to keep our eyes on and see how GRA, Gambia Revenue Authority, fares in terms of efficiency revenue mobilization in the country. So we'll keep an eye on that, Dr. Conteh. Lastly, I want to briefly say that it is being reported by Madi Jobade. Well, I got this information from him that CA National Chair in the person of Dominic Mendy has resigned some 10 days ago from CA as a party. In Dominic's resignation letter, which I was able to brush through briefly, he alleges dishonesty in the CA leadership, and CA leadership deviating from the core values of the party. So that is the allegations Dominic Mendy has made in his resignation letter. And even though I am of the view that political parties are private organizations, right? They can set their own laws, they can set their own value systems and all that stuff. And I do believe that political parties should have core values that unite the membership. The membership, however, I don't think have to be homogeneous. There can be wide variations in terms of values, in terms of beliefs, in terms of how the party should be like, within the party itself. But there should be room for those variations, even within the party. If you look at the Democratic Party in the U.S., you look at the Republican Party in the U.S., there are wide variations in the attitude and beliefs of the memberships. Some are moderate, some are hardcore, some are, pretty liberal in their views. And I think these kind of things could be tolerated in our political parties in the Gambia as well. However, I do think while it might be the best thing for Dominic to do in terms of integrity, preserving his integrity, to resign from the party if he believes that the party is moving away from his visions, his expectations of the party. But I think sometimes some of these things can be resolved internally. He's the chair of the party. I think the alternative would be he could have made an effort. Maybe he has already done and it didn't come to any fruition. But certainly it's always helpful if some work is done internally to address these issues internally. And I think his resignation may have to do with the fact that the presidential candidate of CA, Dr. Ismaila Ceesay, has been in the media a lot, crisscrossing between NPP and CA, visiting the State House. In one case, it was alleged that he made a midnight call, in quotes, midnight call to the State House, kind of secretly visiting the State House. And subsequently, he met with Barrow to allegedly to discuss job opportunities in the country for him. So this may all have to do with that. I think Dr. Ceesay may have exercised some very poor judgment in that. I think his advances towards NPP and President Barrow, for whatever reason it might be, should have been addressed within his party force and make these moves with the backing of his party executive and his party membership rather than doing those unilaterally. And I'm not 100% sure whether he did this unilaterally or he had the backing of his party or his executive at least. But I strongly suspect that Dominic's resignation may have to do with some of Dr. Caesar's actions, particularly his advances on NPP and President Barrow. Of course, CA's disappointing inability to contest the presidential election because of paperwork problems may also speak to this. CA did not do its homework well in the running up to the the nomination process of the presidential candidate and their participation in the last presidential elections, resulting in the fact that CA was unable to contest. These were very disappointing times for the party, I'm sure, and this no doubt has eroded the support and probably the membership of CA as well. So this may add to the possibility that resigning from CA is probably the most attractive thing for Dominic at this moment. It is a sad development, but we'll be watching how CA transforms. Dr. Conteh, you have anything on this?
Not really, because that's amazing.
Right. Yes, it is. I just read it while I was waiting for us to come back on. Well, this is it, Dr. Conteh. Our main thing was the gas prices in the Gambia. I hope that data is a little bit helpful. I wish we had more accurate information on these issues, especially the number of assumptions I made in this coming up with these numbers. But we'll be watching and see how all these things go. Dr. Conteh, thank you very much for being here this afternoon. We will meet again next Sunday. Hopefully, the next coming weeks, we will have some very interesting things to talk about here, things that will be very valuable to our audience. Again, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Take care.
All right, thanks, man.
Mm-hmm.